So the problem I'm experiencing with a lot of the clients and the people that we're working with is they're all trying to go for the big money, the YouTube money, the $20,000 or whatever. A lot of y'all don't have a day job, but some of you guys have literally have a day job. I don't understand. I literally have just no understanding or comprehension as to why your goal is 10,000 or 5,000 or even 1,000. And I don't mean that derogatorily. I don't understand. Like I mentally cannot comprehend why that is your goal. If right now, if you're making about six figures a year, I think that's about $300 a day. Somebody quote my math by all means, please. But it's not that much, right? In a day. So even at one account, you've broken through what you would have made in your day job. Like you've made enough that if you did that effectively for a month or two, you put that in a high interest savings account or put that into a couple of really good stocks, or even just, VGT, a growth fund that's slightly more aggressive than, the S&P kind of thing. QQQ is, I don't actually like QQQ that much, but seriously, you're living almost off of interest within X amount of months and working now part-time. Within X amount of months beyond that, you've now effectively replaced your income working 1 hour or a couple minutes a day. Like that's it. But most people are just not seeing that. They're seeing the big things that are, I mean, no harm, but are a little out of reach right now. You've got to start with where you're at. That's the problem. $200 a day. I'm going to do the math now because I'm curious. I'm up 12 ticks on gold. I don't know how many, because I took that on top step. I'm back in entry now on US 30. So on YM. But I did scale out twice. So got my profits. I would like to see it push back down, but we'll see. Everyone's judgment is super clouded, and I think that's the problem. You're not going to win every day. So even if it's the market, if it's human error, if it's management, if it's a freeze up in the system, if it's just a bad trade, you're not going to get $200 on 5 accounts every single day. One of the accounts didn't mirror right. One of the days had a bomb. One of the days had there's always going to be something, which is why it's ever more important to get the amount you need and stop trading, because then you're limiting the access to those bad problems. Because for every mistake you make, it takes you 4, 5, 6, 7 other decisions to fix that mistake. That's the problem. That's 100% the problem.
And then by then you're in a different mindset. You start making bad decisions as well. I mean,
We're
is it best to try to go for the home run and get it funded in 2 or 3 days? And like in my case, or is it better to do the $200 a day
No.
and wait 15, 20 days and just, do it that way?
I would rather it take you 90 days to pass the challenge. And here's why. Remember, every time you pass it, you pay 149, 180, or whatever prop firm you're using. You pay 149, 150 bucks to activate it into the live account.
But what, 49 in this case for Top Step?
Your approved account costs money once you're approved.
Oh, the approval. Yeah, once you're approved, you gotta pay that other one. Yeah, I was just talking about the challenge. Okay.
Now you pay $49 or whatever, and then you pay the extra 180, and then you blow it because you haven't created the habits that make you maintain that account. You haven't created the habits that make it to where when you do pay that next 180, you can sustain it, right? So finally you passed it in 2 days, you paid the 180. Now you're down, your cost to this process is what, 200, 225, but you haven't had the habits. So now day 3 or 4, you've blown it. So the next week you're doing it again. That's $1,000 a week.
Yep.
That's $1,000 a year that you're spending on bad choices.
That's what we're talking about. Now, if you do the 200, even if it takes 20, 30 days, at least you're in the habit of just sticking with the 200. You already know, you're already in that zone, so to speak.
Yes. It's a different world for sure.
One
Definitely.
thing, like, adding on to what Jenny's saying is that another way to look at it, it's the exact same thing that she's literally said. As far as mindset, if you're worried about the money, that's usually what causes a lot of issues as far as where traders will make a mistake, regardless of whatever the mistake it is, because things can vary. It usually always results back to money. And I actually got this from one YouTuber who was just talking about mindset. But like, if you sort of think about it, like if you, let's say you do make a lot of money on one day and you're 1,400 and, you're only 1,500 or 1,600 away from passing your actual combine. Then the next day, let's say you're actually using like good risk management, and you maybe take a 250, dollar loss, and then you take another loss. Then you go back and then actually over leverage because you're trying to make up, because you feel like you're trying to chase the money, you're trying to get profitable, and you're trying to pass the combine. and reach those particular goals. But any sort of setback can make you make bad decisions itself. Or you pass an account and are fully funded, you have your XFA, and then you actually maybe the first week you size down and then you take a few losses and then you don't have those practices like Jenny said, which are sort of a result of not worrying about the money because that's sort of what builds the good habits. When you're not worried about the money, you're managing correctly, you're taking the right trades, you're just worried more so about the process as opposed to that because the process is part of what makes the money. But the mental part of just staying and doing the right thing is one of the most difficult things. And it's so difficult to this day and age because we have so many things on social media or, even with Top Step and with their channel, which is great. But then you see other traders who are at other avenues or traders who are legitimately over leveraging and just got lucky. And you see P&Ls of, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, 100,000 for one person in one day recently. And then you go back and you look at yours and you're like, dang, like I want to reach these heights so fast. So there's so many different variables for every person. It can be different for each day. It can always be different for why you made whatever decision that you made. And the result is it usually goes back to money. So if you take the money portion out of it, somehow find out how to stop that. Just worry about the process and do like what Jenny's saying and take your time and do it correctly. Even on those bad days, you can sustain that. And eventually you have those habits that will bring that money to you and will compound over time.
That
Yeah, I'm gonna
I
put myself out there a little bit more. I don't know if you guys remember in the Discord just a couple weeks ago, I was looking at like $400 or $500 being funded. I'm like, here we go. And I'm like, I can do this now. And then it went against me. And I'm like, well, now I got to make that up. And that's when you start getting desperate and then you lose that again. I ended up losing it. I ended up losing that challenge. And to me, I'm just going to say it's devastating. I was within $300, $400 of getting funded because of my mistakes or whatever my mindset. And I ended up losing the whole thing, even though I was within like $400 or $500 of being funded. I mean, you talk about confidence killer, it's sorry. But I mean, I just put that out there. I was that close and I ruined it just
Yes.
because of my mindset.
It's happened to a lot of people on this call. You're not the only one. That's why I love you so much. You start a lot of conversations, and you're probably one of the most, if not the most, transparent person that comes on these calls. So we really appreciate, you bringing up this and talking about your journey.
Well,
But that's
I
just
try to
that's
keep
the
it real,
person.
you know.
Yeah. No, trust me, it happens to everybody. It happens to me. It happens to everyone.
Yeah,
Happens to everyone.
the line forms behind me, I assure you. It's all of us. But I think that's a good topic to bring up real quick. So, and then we'll go over some chart markups and a couple of concepts that I'm really excited to kind of just start working toward because again, I think $200, $300 is easy. And I know it's not necessarily YouTube worthy, but if it's consistent, it's life changing worthy. And that is way more important than YouTube. So on the concept of not being able to lose. I feel like the problem with winning and social media and being right and or your accuracy and or the profits and the hopes and the goals and good strategies is I think many of us don't know how to lose. Meaning, fine, we took this trade, let's say it did go against us and it closed, like as per what we've already discussed. We have one, maybe two trades in the day. We close out at negative. So that's $200 or $400 negative, right? If you're doing a $200 risk, okay, you're done. So to lose effectively, if we let this run up, okay, and this is where I shine the brightest, I assure you. Like, if we let this run up against us, now we're down negative $1,200. We've and or lost our challenge, hit our daily loss limit. It is a lot harder to overcome that $1,200, $1,700 loss, right? Than it is to overcome, okay, I came to the charts, I did my job for the day. I took my trades according to the strategy and the rules I set before myself. I followed them. That makes me a successful trader, a successful day at work, right? And today it resulted in a net negative of let's say 2 or 400. And tomorrow a net negative of let's say, 4 to 600, right? Slightly more. Let's say 3 to 500. Let's go on the smaller end. You do that over and over again in the batch of those 22 days, you're net positive. But most of people, I feel like, just don't know how to lose. And that is a huge topic. So find the trade lost. It went against you. However you're managing your stop loss, I'm deciding I'm not managing with hard stops right now, especially for futures. I want to see the close, which means I'm risking slightly more than I think I am. And I'm totally acceptable, for me. But if that's the condition, to manually choose to close a losing trade according to the rules you set forth and allowing yourself to take that $200 or $400 hit and be done. That means I'm not going to go try to make it up. I'm not going to go try to revenge trade. I'm not going to just get break even or just get back to positive or just listen. If I just find 3 more, I could still be net profitable for the day. Like, if we can stop doing that, the ability to lose, I think if there's one thing I could help us all focus on maybe in the next coming weeks that you can kind of talk to your maker about, meditate on, do whatever suits you, it's going to be the ability to lose. Get comfortable with it. Let's talk about it. Because if you, me, and the next guy do not find some amount of ability to say, we took our trade, today won. We took our trade, today lost. And I know YouTubes are great. Okay. I got a lot of messages about the sales level in other communities. And I get sales are great. That is for hype. You have to know, we're all adults here. You have to know the difference between hype and reality. Hype is great. Motivation is great. YouTube is great for motivation. But now we have to come back to reality, which means understanding that some days are better than others. There's glitches, there's lags, there's slippage, there's all the things. And I'm okay with taking loss. I'm okay with, hey, I followed my job today and I'm taking my loss today and I'll come back tomorrow. I'm not going to try again in Asian. I'm not going to try again in the afternoon session or power hour. I've made rules for myself and I follow those rules, even if they're not negative, because I know at 22 days, if I follow this, I'm withdrawing money.